From your local election headquarters, here is This Week in Louisiana Politics.
Welcome, everyone. I hope you're having a great weekend. I'm Fred Childers. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Politics on your local election headquarters. Wow, we've seen a lot of developments just over the last few days, so let's get started. Up top, on Friday, a federal grand jury indicted New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell after a lengthy corruption investigation. Cantrell's lawyer, Eddie Castaigne, confirming to the Associated Press that an indictment was returned and her name was read aloud by a federal magistrate judge as a defendant. The indictment is the culmination of a long-running federal investigation into Cantrell, the first female mayor in the city's 300-year history. The charges weren't immediately known, and Cantrell will leave office in January. We'll bring you updates, of course. Louisiana's Attorney General Liz Murrill took aim at a popular video game called Roblox. She claims it is becoming a dangerous place for children and a popular place for predators to find their victims. Louisiana First News reporter Ethan Good has those details.
I'm announcing today a lawsuit against Roblox, the #1 gaming site for children and teens. It's also the #1 site for sex predators.
Thursday afternoon, Attorney General Liz Murrill announced a lawsuit against the popular video game Roblox, claiming there's been a drastic increase of predators using it to target kids.
We've seen a lot of trends, and it's just on these platforms. Most of your social media platforms that has a basically a chat room is where we're seeing most of this happen.
These chat rooms invite kids to play with online people, and that includes cases where grown men pose as kids to lure victims in.
And it is real and it's scary that a adult male can present himself with the voice of a 14-year-old female. And that is very much unacceptable. And it's something that we just have to do a better job, not only as our parents, but also in law enforcement, is making sure we're out there and we're also educating ourselves.
And another shot fired in the never-ending battle to protect kids in the rapidly evolving digital age.
And authorities say there are classes to help you and your kids stay 2 steps ahead of predators. AG Murrill also reacting to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals decision to not rule Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act unconstitutional. But this redistricting case is effectively on hold after another development. We'll get to that in a second. It all centers around how district maps are drawn in the state. This week's decision by the court upholds a judge's earlier ruling that blocked Louisiana's state legislative maps by finding they, quote, packed and cracked Black communities in violation of Section 2, the Voting Rights Act's central remaining provision. We caught up with Murrill after she learned of the appeals court decision. Here's what she had to say.
So they need to clarify what legislators need to be doing. This is not a job for federal courts, and that's what it has become. It's become a litigation game, and it's expensive.
So she was obviously not okay with the decision, but after making that comment, the AG's office reviewed the ruling and determined another judge at the Fifth Circuit held the mandate in place. So the AG says, hey, stay tuned, because now the case is paused at least until the Supreme Court rehears the arguments in October. Republican Senator Bill Cassidy was in his home state of Louisiana when he addressed veterans' health during a forum. He touched on topics like mental health services, rural community access, and veteran homelessness. He says the VA needs to be held accountable when it makes mistakes. He's calling on the organization to properly use its resources so veterans can lead better lives. U.S. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon visited Jefferson Terrace Academy in Baton Rouge this week as part of her returning education to the state's tour. Louisiana First News reporter Michelle Masson was there and highlights the strides Louisiana students have made.
What is this? A picture of
Students at Jefferson Terrace Academy, which serves pre-K through 8th grade, showing off skills they've learned. As people like Senator Bill Cassidy, school leaders, and the primary education advisor to President Trump toured the school.
Look at the results Louisiana's already had. coming out of COVID, to get their reading program back up and to make more gains than any other state in the country, I think really speaks to the commitment that's here.
McMahon also pushing the White House's position that education is best left up to the states, and there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
What works in one state may not work in another state, but if there are bits and pieces that we can put together in toolkits that states can take away from that, it's a great thing to be able to do.
Louisiana's overall average ranking on 4th through 8th grade reading and math has improved from 49th in 2019 to 32nd in 2024, according to the nation's report card. And in 4th grade reading, our state has gone from 50th in the nation to 16th. The Louisiana Department of Education has focused on creating outcomes like these with their recent policy change to what they call a back-to-basics approach.
We've led the country in literacy growth for 4 years, top 5 for math, outpacing the nation on students with disabilities growth, and to have a partner like Secretary McMahon, who wants to be with us here in the state and help return more power to the states, is really rewarding to know that we can continue to accelerate our results.
President Trump has repeatedly called for the Department of Education to be abolished, saying he wants McMahon to be the last secretary of the federal agency. This, in theory, would leave education up to each state, with little to no federal oversight concerning issues like race and gender in schools or curriculums. In Baton Rouge, Michelle Masson, Louisiana First News.